It is Wednesday, May 7th. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches, our good friends at the Dubliner. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
And speaking of good friends, it's been a while since we've seen and co-streamed with our good friend Cyrus. A couple of weeks. I was in Japan. Then he got tied up. Now here we are. And what do you know? The Warriors are up 1-0 in the second round of the NBA playoffs with a thrilling, can't believe they held on to win it last night in Minnesota game where Steph Curry and his hamstring are, chief concerns going forward. But Cyrus, great to see you again, pal. How you doing?
It's great to see you too, man. It's been a little while. I'm glad we're finally reconvening and resuming Warriors Weekly, especially given the fact that the postseason. I mean, and we got the Stephen Curry news, and there's a whole lot to break down. Did you just do your sponsor read? Was when you mentioned the Dubliner? Is this now the time to quickly give Golden Days of sponsors love?
Get in there. Give me some sponsor love.
So two of them really fast. First up, Decades, a band who loves you, by the way, as well. I mean, they bring up the fact that they love our dual streams. They're Golden Dazers, and they're all about playing music for your event, whether it's a fundraiser, an anniversary, a wedding. I mean, could be just be a good old fashioned backyard rager, whatever it is. They're available to come play for you. Go to decadesofficial.com, decadesofficial.com to book them, or email Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com. Today's episode also brought to you by Visit Humboldt. It is a beautiful place, and it's a drive away if you're in the Northern California area, the San Francisco Bay Area included. It's a 3 to 4 hour drive, and all you got to do is go to visithumboldt.com for places to stay, things to do for all the national parks, state parks, wineries, breweries. It's so beautiful. You can also DM me. I'm a former resident, given I was once a student at Humboldt State University that they now call Cal Poly Humboldt. Visit Humboldt.com. Back to the program.
I love it. By the way, if you're going up to Humboldt to do some camping, check out Campsite Tonight. Use .app. It is like hotels.com.
That worked out.
Campsites. It happens here in California. It's all over the state of California. It's expanding. This is a neighbor of mine who came up with this idea. It's a great business idea. I want to help him promote it. Help me grow his business by downloading Campsite Tonight, that new app. It is fantastic. If you're going camping anywhere in California, you're going to want to see it and book that campsite before somebody else jumps on it instead of you. And of course, when it comes to jumping on things, jump on all delicious things at Ike's. You all know that. Get yourself to Ike's. Get yourself a delicious sandwich. Get yourself maybe, I don't know, sandwiches for the entire office. Check out Ike's Catering. Download that Love Rewards app, and you will be happy that you did. And again, no banner advertisement needed when I can be the billboard myself. The Dubliner, baby. West Portal. Love these guys. They've signed up for the remainder of the year to be a sponsor here on the Blues. We love you, Dubliner. I mean, I'm sure everyone who's at the Dubliner watching the Warriors playoff win last night had a grand old time, and I had a grand old time watching that one. That was an incredible basketball game. Before we get into it, how it happened, what was accomplished, what it all means, Cyrus, the big news is that the Warriors' chances going forward in this series, forward to the next series, are directly tied to hamstring injury severity.
Oh, it's not Pat Spencer's mustache? I thought you were going to report that Pat Spencer trimmed the mustache. And I'm like, do not dare go to that subject matter. That stash is a beautiful thing, sir. But it's not about Pat, it's about Steph. Okay.
You don't go changing socks in a streak. Okay, you keep it up. You keep it up. Don't go doing laundry now, Pat. Keep it grimy. Keep it dirty. Keep it redneck. Keep it lacrosse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shams has officially reported Steph has a grade 1 hamstring strain. He's already been ruled out of game 2. It's been taken even further by sources who have said expect Curry to be out at least a week, which would include, obviously, game 3 at Chase Center on Saturday. Game 4 would be Monday at Chase Center. And look, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Steph Curry is going to miss 3.5 of the first 4 games of this series. We hope to see him on May 14th, a week from this live stream. Cyrus, would be the night of game 5 back at Target Center. So, that's what the Warriors are hoping for. The deal is, though, this is the first strained muscle of Steph Curry's career.
Ever. Yeah.
So, hey, maybe he recovers quicker. Maybe at his age, quick recovery really isn't one of the cards he's allowed to play anymore in his career. But hopefully it doesn't linger. And honestly, even with the news of he might miss a week, Cyrus, I really think this is the best possible diagnosis that you could hope for, because hamstring, grade 2 strain, really bad, would mean, oh, he's out the rest of the way. Like, he's not playing again until June is out, which means he's going to be a finals, even if the Warriors were to make it there. So it's not a good diagnosis, but I think it's one that if you're a Warriors fan, you're almost happy to see given the circumstances.
The last time I believe we saw a hamstring injury affect the Warriors in a scenario like this was 2018. The Western Conference Finals, I believe Andre Iguodala went down in Game 3 with a hamstring injury, and we didn't see him again until Game 6 or Game 7. Shouldn't have been relevant, but it did impact the series because Steve Kerr, instead of playing JaVale McGee and David West, was playing Swaggy P and Quinn Cook. I digress. Different scenario today, because in 2018, strength in numbers, this was one of the rare years where that adage was not very applicable because the Warriors were so top heavy. That Kevin Durant team was so stacked at the top. All you needed were just pieces below that to fit to make it work. This season, I feel like the depth of this team is unbelievable. Strength in numbers is an adage that rings true as much this year as it ever has. And look, a couple things to break down here, I think, besides the fact that you're absolutely right. A grade 1 strain, which is what was diagnosed, is the best case scenario. Grade 2 or 3 would have been abysmal. My strong prediction here is that we're not going to see Steph until Game 6. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the way the schedule of this series is constructed, it's bizarre. It's very unusual. There's only one day. That's sorry, I'm like my throat's like clogged up today for some reason.
I know you're very emotional to be doing the show together again. I can feel it.
Probably that. But between games 5 and 6, you have this like a 4-day gap in the schedule, whereas between every other game, it's just one day. And I have no idea why the NBA's created the schedule like this. Makes no sense, but given the fact that you're only getting one day off in between each game, it would surprise me if we saw Steph in Game 5. I think Game 6 is more realistic because that's almost a week and a half out, if I have my dates correct. I hope I'm not mistaken on that. But whereas with literally every other game, like today's an off day, tomorrow's Game 2, and then an off day, Game 3, and so forth. Between 5 and 6, you have like 4 or 5 days off. So something tells me Game 6 would be the date you aim for. But look, as bad as this injury is, and don't confirm this stat for me, but I think this was the first year ever that the Warriors actually had a winning record when Steph was off the floor this season. He missed 12 games. There were 7-5. The drop-off was very minimal offensively, which is shocking the more you think about that. But you also do get a little better defensively because you are getting bigger in size. You take away that one target that other teams have on the Warriors defensively, even though Steph makes teams pay for that routinely because he's a damn good defensive player, but you can't mistake his stature. He is 6'3" compared to the rest of his teammates. He's smaller outside of maybe GP2. And so you're going to get a little more physical, a little bigger, and maybe a little more improved defensively. You're going to see a slight drop-off offensively. But, brother, this roster is built to handle Stephen Curry not playing. This is also why I was not exalted following Game 7. Like, people were like, why were you not more stoked about the Warriors winning Game 7? It's because I did not appreciate the way this team was handled. They have the depth to not play Steph 47 minutes in playoff games. He's 37 years of age. Let's not mistake the fact that the minute usage contributed to this injury. You have depth.
This, Cyrus, I saw this. Real GM had a tweet last night that says Curry's hamstring injury comes after running what I guess was tracked a career high 1.99 miles ran in Game 7. So Curry literally covered more court space in Game 7 against Houston than any other game he's ever played in his career. You had, I believe, 4 of the 5 starters going over 40 minutes in Game 7. I'll also say this. I don't care who has to die in order to win a game 7. There is no game 1 in the next round to even be worried about without leaving everything on the court in game 7. So I don't have a problem with that. And I understand what you're trying to do. Like, hey, Curry taken out of the equation. Maybe you do get a little bit better defensively. Cyrus, I love it. I love the sunshine. I do. There is no scenario where the Warriors are a better team, a more capable team.
Is that the word, gooder?
Like I almost said it, but they're not in better shape without him. They're not. There is no silver lining to the cloud of his absence. This is not an opportunity to impress everyone with depth. The Warriors are now going into battle for foreseeably the next 3 games without their most sharp weapon. And that sucks. And it's why this series is probably over. To be honest.
Really? You're going there?
They're in an awful lot of trouble here.
Well, I don't doubt that. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend missing Stephen Curry is they're fine. Like I'm not trying to sugarcoat the injury here. Make no mistake about it. But what I am saying is this is a very deep team. It wasn't just game 7, by the way. It was games 5, 6, and 7 that you could look at. Game 6 was mismanaged, I thought, very, very poorly as well. Even game 5. Dip into your bench. Play your best players. Like this. There's so many gimmicky little moves with the combinations and the matchups that. And it's not lost on me either that in the biggest, most tense-filled moments, you suddenly see Steve Kerr go to the players that are the best players on this team. He abandons those his rules when it suddenly matters most, when the pressure is highest. Like, for example, like Kaminga, Butler, Dre not playing together. They played together in game 7. You saw them play together in game 1 when Steph went down. That combination can work.
It needs
I'd like to see more.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not going to be perfect. We all know that.
No.
And I remember going back to the regular season right after they traded for Jimmy. I told you, I said, it's really important that Kaminga get back in the mix here.
Yes.
Or he's going to be the odd man out.
Yes.
And he's the odd. I mean, everything I told you that was going to happen happened. So, that's a big reason why. And unfortunately, the minutes that he has played, he hasn't exactly thrown down the I'm back coach gauntlet in these minutes, but
could you blame
they
him?
Are valuable and he needs to be out there more. No, I can't blame him. I can't blame him for being upset with the situation. Smiley Dan is saying, DB, making some small positives out of this. I needed this today. If he can get through it, maybe the rest would be good.
There's a positive? You just said they're going to lose.
Well, that's the thing. Smiley Dan wants a positivity.
I got that for you.
They're in a lot of trouble because here's the thing. Right now, here is the Warriors' offense. 1, Steph Curry being Curry. 2, Jimmy Butler fourth quarter free throws. 3, Buddy Hield is feeling it. 4, Draymond catching dudes sleeping. That's it. That's all they got. If you're telling me Buddy Hield never lets off the gas pedal and is 30 a night from here on out, yeah, great things can happen. There's no doubt about that. I'm not really confident that that's going to happen. But Buddy, man, he has shown up in this postseason in ways that has been phenomenal. Love you, Buddy Hield. We'll get into you in just a second. Jimmy Butler's got to be more than fourth quarter free throws. He's got to be a huge presence. Jimmy does not like taking contested layups. He shouldn't be making fun of Buddy Hield's layups at all right now because Jimmy smokes as many layups as coffee he served in the bubble. Draymond catching dudes sleeping has been a level of offense I didn't even think he was capable of at this point in time. Draymond is having one of the best seasons of his entire career. And of course, in the midst of one of the great playoff runs of his career, a defensive mastermind, and he is just in charge of so much of what's going on offensively. Of course, it's all wrapped around him almost totally losing his shit and losing his control. Draymond really is best when he's on the edge. He really is. And sometimes you get falling off the edge in a bad way, Draymond, and sometimes you get what you got last night in Draymond. He was awesome. One of those guys, Jimmy Butler, Buddy Hield, or Draymond, doesn't play an awesome game between here and Steph Curry's recovery. The Warriors are in an awful lot of trouble. They need Moody. They need Pajemski. They need GP2 or Kaminga or someone else. Pat Spencer. By the way, forget about strength in numbers. Strength in Spencer's. I mean, let's go. But you see what a disaster he is offensively too. He's just a defensive presence. He's an on-court agitator. He's not going to give you much.
But here's the thing, Damon. A lot of this is doom and gloom, and I get it to a large degree.
Doom and gloom. This isn't doom and gloom. This is completely perched in reality.
Well, okay, fine. But if you're going to go realistic here, look at the other side of this. Do not pretend that Minnesota has a multitude of weapons to choose from. They've got Anthony Edwards. They've got Naz Reid, who shoots threes and has no post-up game whatsoever.
Kills the Warriors.
And that's it.
Warriors.
And that's it. So here's the thing. People like, for example, Fozzie in your chat asked, like, why does Cy hate Steve Kerr so much? I don't hate him. I have no personal emotion against him. Sometimes I get riled up when he benches players, especially young players who are deserving of opportunities and minutes. But ultimately, that's why I have distaste for him. He's brilliant and masterful as a coach in terms of schematics, ATOs, a system that has won 4 championships. I've never once criticized that part of his game. It's the personnel. It's who he goes with on a routine basis, the combinations, the matchups. I think he's very flawed there. With all that said, I need to finish this point. I actually think Steve Kerr now is going to play a huge part in the Warriors winning this series because, as I've said before and I'll say again, the system is awesome. And the system thrives when you suddenly have a team that does not have your one that carries the load, that you abandon when all else fails. And what I mean by that is Stephen Curry is the guy you just kind of sit back and watch often offensively, and you just let him cook for good reason. When Steph is out, suddenly you're seeing the system go to play. And you do have pieces here that can make
guys who are hesitant to shoot will automatically be less hesitant. But Podziemski's double clutching everything for 3 games in a row now, and I don't really know why. And Moses Moody isn't letting it fly without looking over his shoulder.
He needs to improve. He needs to improve the shooting, but the physicality he brings, the physicality Kaminga brings, the GP2, Pat Spencer. The Warriors are a very physical team. And what I've been saying before, and I'll say again, they have possibly, this might sound like a bold statement, but I think it's very real and true. They have the best defense in the NBA right now. And that's a crazy statement to make given they lack ball handlers. But when you look at them 1 through 5 consistently in terms of the lineups they put out there, no one can switch better than them. And that means Minnesota is not going to find weaknesses with mismatches. They're going to have to earn their points. What I saw in game 1, Damon, and why I feel encouraged despite Stephen Curry being injured, is that the Warriors saw a Minnesota team who pales in comparison to Houston in terms of size and physicality. They saw a team that is nothing compared to what Houston was bringing in terms of imposing their will in the interior. The Warriors can match up physically with this Rockets team. With this Timberwolves team, sorry. Rudy Gobert does not instill fear in anyone with the Warriors. And they attack him. Draymond does not sit in the post hanging out there, which is a disadvantage to Rudy Gobert because now he has to venture out into the perimeter where he's not worthy of a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not sitting here pretending that Stephen Curry's injury isn't massive, but what I am saying is that the Warriors have faced moments like these before, and this is where Steve Kerr, I'm going to give him his flowers. The system is brilliant, and I think we're going to see, we might see something similar to 2018, where in the Western Conference Finals, was it 2019? I'm sorry. In the Western Conference Finals, where Kevin Durant was out, right? He had the calf injury. We didn't see him again until game 5 of those NBA Finals. And a lot of people were just completely ruling out the Warriors against the Trailblazers in that Western Conference Finals series. Everyone thought Dame Lillard and what's his name who's in with New Orleans now, his backcourt mate.
Grant?
Who? No, not Jamie Grant.
Grant version?
No, the guy who runs the players union now, the shooting guard with New Orleans. He has a big deal. What's it? He was. Someone in the chat's going to let me know so I can. Miss CJ McCollum. Thank you very much.
There you go.
This was the Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum era that everyone thought was going to emerge, and the Warriors were like, no. Just sit the F down. We're not going anywhere. This system is brilliant. I've never once criticized that. It's the personnel choices.
You have criticized this. I don't want to get into us arguing over Steve Kerr and being consistent here, but if you think the system is brilliant, you can't be that angry for not playing Kaminga because Kaminga fits the system terribly.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I just think Kerr has
the guy who runs the system is told you implicitly through these minutes that he
Do you
doesn't.
think Jason Tatum has a low IQ? Because this is the same inference people are giving Kaminga. They think he has a low IQ because Steve Kerr immediately instills this inherent bias in people that if he benches someone, people immediately assume something's wrong with that guy because Kerr benches him.
But Kaminga's always turned around. His body's at the wrong angle. He's not paying attention where the ball is.
Not often. I don't see that. We can agree to disagree on that. I don't see that.
Again,
I don't see that, and I never saw it with Jason Tatum either when he was DNP to the Olympics. Steve Kerr is just weird. What's up?
It's being borne out in minutes in the box score. There's no agreeing with it or disagreeing with it. The team has told you with very little misinterpretation to be found. He doesn't fit the moment, doesn't fit the system, doesn't fit the pressure.
You agreed in the Summer Olympics last year, Jason Tatum didn't fit, one of the best players in the world?
I don't know if it didn't fit, but that was one of the situations where I can't play everybody. Like I've got every single person here is an all-star.
Jason Tatum can be 1 through 5, and he was losing out minutes to Derek White.
Because he was losing out the system better. Derek White wasn't looking to create one-on-one.
And again, we're going to have to agree to disagree that Jason Tatum couldn't have fit perfectly fine in that. Steve Kerr is kooky with his matchups sometimes. I've never, you could look at all the tape you want. I don't rip the system. I do rip the personnel decisions.
By the way, they won that gold medal.
They did. You're right, barely. But you're gonna pretend Stephen Curry didn't bail Kerr out in that semifinal game?
Well, what are you angry at? Steph Curry hitting shots?
No, I'm upset that Steve Kerr oftentimes makes personnel decisions that put his team at a disadvantage, and Stephen Curry bails him out time and again to make up for these poor decisions. That's what I'm saying. If you disagree with that, you're entitled to. I do. There are times where Steve Kerr makes poor personnel decisions. It's why he's never developed talent, because he treats every rookie like a role player. You can't treat them like that if you want them to develop. They need consistent runs.
Also 5-1 in elimination games on the road. So, he pulls the trigger correctly when it matters the most.
When you have Stephen Curry in your team, it helps.
Going to have to really cobble the best efforts out of Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and Buddy Hield together to go on and keep on keeping up in this series. The one thing that I will agree with you on is this level of defense. I did not think they were going to be capable of it. I thought that they would have one-off moments where, man, the defense really was locked in tonight and they shut that shit down. It is now happened, over the course of 2 series, basically. In the games that the Warriors have won in the playoffs, opponents are being held to an average of 92.2 points per game. Anthony Slater spelled it out in a tweet this morning. The Warriors have allowed their opponent 88 last night, 85, 89, 93, and 106 points in their 5 playoff wins. And they're obviously, there is no let up in that for the Warriors to have any success in the series. They have to continue to be this good. What I'm scared about is I think, and I'm almost going to not think, I'm going to promise you that the Minnesota Timberwolves just played far and away the worst game that they will play in this series.
Damon, every top seed in this round played their worst game in game 1. Every single one of them. All of them.
It's been amazing.
It kind of, but then when you look at it, it doesn't. It's not as surprising as I initially thought when you looked at the fact that there isn't a huge separation in talent between any of these teams, right? Like Denver and OKC they're just different. They're not that far off. To me, the biggest gap is the Knicks and the Celtics, which surprises me all the more that New York pulled out that game 1. But if you're a betting man, side note, last time I looked at the spread, the Celtics were 10-point favorites against the Knicks, and I would bet that. I think the Celtics are going to blow the roof off that building tonight and send a strong message to New York that game 1 was an anomaly. With all that said, you look at all the top seeds, though, they took care of their opponents early. Every one of them had days off between their closeout game and game 1. Minnesota included. They took care of LA in 5 games. They were sitting back. You saw rust
Warriors
with all these teams, and maybe more specifically, just a lack of intensity and the same aggressiveness that these teams that had just played game 7s were coming in still fresh. They still were in game mode, and you saw that. You saw the results of that. With that said, again, the Warriors, though, they held Minnesota to 31 first half points, and more importantly, ever since the Warriors got Jimmy Butler, they have the number 1 rated defense in the entire NBA. Number 1. And that's a 2-month sample size, brother. More than that. This Warriors defense is real. And everyone wants, and I said this last night, everyone wants to give the Rockets or wants to criticize the Rockets for having a bad offense, and I'm not saying they have a good offense, but what I am saying is give the Warriors defense some credit for what they did to Houston in that series. And look at the Warriors defense when you're analyzing this series moving forward. The Warriors have an elite defense. That defense might be even better with Stephen Curry out. Crazy, but possibly true. And where they're going to miss points, and they're going to miss some. It's going to more than be made up for, I think, with the defense. And they have enough talent, I think, to put up enough points to survive Chris Finch and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I think that Finch last night lit an absolute rocket under Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
and
called him out.
Anthony Edwards is going to be the best player in this series going forward, especially if Curry doesn't rejoin it. So look out for that. I also think, we really, take the Warrior fandom just completely out of the emotions and analysis of what happened last night. What happened last night was Buddy went absolutely freaking bonkers for the second game in a row. God bless. But just expecting that to not dip is, I think, some fool's gold. So you got Buddy going absolutely bonkers. You got the Timberwolves shooting 17% from downtown. That ain't going to happen again. Now, an awful lot of that was some good defensive moments, and at least 10 of those were wide open practice level threes that they could not knock down, and the Warriors got really, really lucky on many of those shots. And then again, Anthony Edwards, 23 points on 22 shots. I'm telling you, he's going to come out and take 20 shots before halftime.
You're right.
In game 2. He is going to come out and show everybody, I'm the youngest, baddest man on this basketball court, and I am not going to wait for this game to come to me. I've just been told by my coach in a press conference in public, if you think you're the man, go play like it. So watch Anthony Edwards absolutely cook the fuck out of whoever is in front of him from here on out.
Damon, you know who's going to be in front of him? Maybe the only other player in the NBA who rivals Anthony Edwards in terms of that dog tenacity, Jimmy Butler. This is one of the many reasons why I love this matchup and why I love the Warriors in this matchup.
Again, they've got an answer. God, I hope you're right.
They've got an answer, dude. I'm telling you, man. I like the Warriors in this series. I actually think this is going to be beneficial to them, as weird as this sounds, because Kerr's going to have to tap into this bench. That bench is solid. It's 12 deep of talent, dude. And my criticism all season has just been the wrong 12 have often played. Now, with Steph out, you're going to see players. You're going to see athletic big players. Braxton Key actually took off the warm-ups last night. That dude can play as well. I know it's been rough at times because he misses layups or whatnot, but he's such an athletic freak. We might even see Kevin Knox. I love Pat Spencer, dude. I love this kid. Like he's exactly what you want in a backup point guard. Brandon Pajemski's going to now play a role that he's comfortable with, which is point guard. That is his spot. That's his position, running the point. I think that they're going to be okay. I really do. I predicted Warriors in 6 at the start of this series, and as weird as this sounds, I feel better about it now because I think a lot of role players who will contribute in this series are going to contribute. And side note, Damon, the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, when you look at the three-point shooting, you're right, they were abysmal. They were 5 of 29 from deep. But you look at who was missing these threes, and it shouldn't be that surprising. Julius Randle is not known for being a three-point shooter. He was 0 for 3. Mike Conley's older than dirt. He should be retired by now. 0 for 2. Dante DiVincenzo is the only one that surprised me a little bit.
Three to get the Minnesota Timberwolves. By the way, how did this Timberwolves team destroy the Lakers? I mean,
because the Lakers suck. Because the Lakers suck.
I guess so, man.
Yeah,
but
they suck. And Minnesota's good. I'm not doing it wrong. They're good. The Warriors, though, are that good. I think.
I don't know. I just think that without Steph Curry from here on out, they're in quite a bit of trouble. I hope they win another game. I think this could be Minnesota in 6. I hope the Warriors, I expect the Minnesota to win game 2. The Warriors are going to have to split at home. And if they do better than that, yeah, then maybe they have survived this moment. But I just think from here on out, they're in an awful lot of trouble. Oh my God, it's Manny, says Damon, always pessimistic towards the Warriors. I'm not pessimistic. I'm realistic. The things that I told you would happen this year have all happened. At some point, you're going to have to understand that Damon does know what he's talking about. And this team, in this situation, without Steph Curry in the postseason, is in trouble. I do know that Jimmy Butler has been a huge add. The whole Batman and Robin thing's gone on a little bit too long, but that's the thing. It's just Robin now.
I sent you a clip, by the way. Do you have it or no?
I do, and I do want to play it because there's a couple things that KNBR actually put on its social media last night that we're going to get to.
All right.
But look, I think that the Warriors played a great game last night. If they continue to play this level of defense, then yeah, you can win any game in the NBA where you're holding your opponent to around 92 points. That feels doable with or without anybody. The minute the Minnesota Timberwolves have a good game, I don't think the Warriors can counter that. Minnesota playing poorly is now baked directly in to any Warrior win that I think that they're going to get in this series. And I don't think that they're going to play as poorly as they did in game one in any game going forward. And if you had to ignite a flame of hope, a wick of hope to see if it lights the rocket, Steph Curry's injury just had to have done that. I mean, the Warriors, the Timberwolves got to be licking their chops to get to game two. Like the game two can't start fast enough for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So,
I just don't know where you think the points are going to come from Minnesota outside of Anthony Edwards. The Warriors will scheme for Edwards. Like they're going to be prepared for that. Anyone who thinks GP2 is still the same guy he was in 2022, God bless him. I hope you're right. We're going to find out because you're going to see a lot of GP2 minutes on Anthony Edwards. I will say GP2 is still an elite defensive player who can cause problems, but you're going to see bodies thrown at Edwards left and right. You're going to see GP2. Kaminga is going to get that assignment. And there's a few other players like players even like Moses Moody will probably get that assignment quite a bit. Jimmy Butler will get that assignment quite a bit. The Warriors have bodies to throw at Edwards to try to neutralize him. I mean, I know part of the game one.
Moody's got to take up an awful lot there.
Agreed.
He really does.
Agreed. But if Edwards is neutralized, and again, the Warriors have the personnel to at least make life very difficult for him. I just don't see where the points come from when you look at the Timberwolves roster. Like they don't have all-stars on this team when you take Edwards out. I'm not sitting here pretending that everything's.
The Warriors don't have all-stars if you take Steph Curry out.
Well, Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and Buddy Hield, if he plays like this, is an all-star.
I don't think either was an all-star team that was on the all-star team this year.
Oh, not this year, no. But you're right, this year, no. But
what we're talking about.
Well, I thought you were talking over. Okay, well, yeah, whatever. I still think.
By the way, and Bruno Mike, a member now for 16 months. Don't forget to like and sub. Only 36 likes. Get it out there. Happy Humo Day. Yes, it is a hump day. Humo Day. Like and subscribe, not only on the Plus, but do it over on Golden Days as well across the board. Thank you so very, very much. You did have a couple of things you sent me, and I want to go ahead and show that right now because this from Draymond is fantastic. He's talking about Pat Spencer. And, when Draymond endorses you because he is attracted to your toughness, that's a very, very solid endorsement. Here's Draymond Green, courtesy of this is KNBR's Twitter page, talking about Pat Spencer last night. Here we go.
How crazy is it that Pat Spencer could step into a playoff game and play like that?
Pat is a damn good basketball player, and I know he don't look like it. He don't just jump off the page at you when you see him in a basketball jersey. I don't think the number 61 helps him, but he's one of the toughest guys on this team. That includes myself. That includes Jimmy. Pat Spencer is tough as nails, and he don't always get the opportunity to play, but every time he gets the opportunity, he's ready. And I think one thing that he does is he's so big for this team. He's a voice on the bench for us, but he's selfless. And when you have guys that either play low minutes or guys coming back from injury, he goes and plays in those games. He dropped me off so bad when I was coming back from my calf injury. It was embarrassing. I went out there thinking I'm about to win games, and I pride myself on winning those games. And I couldn't get a win. I got one win, but I couldn't win. And he was talking crazy to me. And I couldn't do nothing about it. I was mad as hell. But that is Pat. And he brings that same energy every single day. He works so extremely hard, extremely intelligent. And he has a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't back down from anyone. And
yeah, I mean, you call that lacrosse background. You call that, I don't know, just being a guy who's been underestimated time and time and time again. He is He is a tough player.
And he's an athletic freak. Him and his brother both. If he didn't have the brother who's also in the NBA, I think maybe this is just a freak of nature. But the fact that he has a brother and they're both just these athletic forces, man. I mean, Pat
need a new number though. I mean, you're like, dude, that's a spring
61
number for a relief pitcher.
It is random. It's random.
Like go 66 or something. Like make it. You're doubling up in some way. Like make it make sense, Pat. Did he wear 61 as a lacrosse player? Is that like just that's his number or something? I don't know. I do
know is he to me is the perfect role player. Like he embraces it. Let me ask you,
have you ever heard Draymond Green talk like that about Jonathan Kaminga?
Yes.
Ever?
Yes.
No, he hasn't.
I literally wrote a story about the fact that when he signed his $100 million contract extension, Joe Lacob asked him, one caveat with this extension is you mentor Kaminga and you look over him and you help develop him. And Draymond Green is yes, sir. And in every interview, he was just interviewed following game 6 because Kaminga was DNP'd in that game. Do you think Kaminga's ready for game 7? And he went on a minute-long spiel saying, absolutely, he's ready for this moment.
Well, yeah, No, he's got a crisis of confidence. His head's going to be in a towel.
Well, you just asked me if he ever said it, and I said yes. And now you don't like hearing that. He actually has said it, Damon. I don't know why you're hating on Kaminga so much. I don't know why so many people hate on him so much.
He's never said it after like an actual performance. He's never reviewed it. He's talked about the goals, but he's never said this guy, the definition of toughness.
He might have. I mean, a lot of this. He might have. You have to be asked the question to answer it. And I don't know if he was asked about Kaminga in terms of whether or not, his thoughts on the performance.
Draymond, I think, hands out compliments. He's stingy with him. He is stingy with him. So when you get one, it does matter. And look, congratulations to Pat Spencer. The fact that Pat Spencer is going to be counted on to play an important role in a playoff series is part of a reason why I think you're in trouble. In spite of the fact it's a great story and we like the mustache and all that stuff, I think the Warriors are in a little bit of trouble from here on out.
They might be. They also might be. They also might be perfectly fine. There were a lot of people. I would say the vast majority of the media landscape in 2019, before the Western Conference Finals, when Kevin Durant went down, the vast majority picked Portland to win that series. And the Warriors didn't just have an answer. They swept those bums. And something tells me they're going to win this series as well. It's all about matchups. Every playoff series is about matchups. It's not about what you did getting to that point. It's all about what's going on in that moment. And when you look at the Timberwolves, you're basically sitting here telling me that you think Julius Randle can beat the Warriors. I'm not sold on that. That's all I'm saying.
I think that Chris Finch is going to watch that game tape last night and say, all right, guys, the next time we miss 16 threes in a row, before we shoot our 17th through 20th three, we're going to use our superior size. We're going to go in the low blocks, where, by the way, we destroyed the Warriors in the paint tonight. Why didn't we do that 10 more possessions? Had we done that 10 more possessions, had 10 more possessions gone to the low post and not been 10 missed threes, we're winning tonight. So I don't think Minnesota is going to give an effort that even resembles what you saw last night. I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards and low post pounding from here on out. And if they don't, I mean, shame on them. Then they do deserve to go home. I mean, I thought that was like coaching malpractice to not call a timeout and say the next motherfucker who shoots a three is getting on the bench.
Do you think Chris Finch is a great coach, Damon?
No, I don't think he's a great coach at all. But I think that a high school coach could have told you.
Then add that to the list of why I'm not scared of Minnesota. They could win the series. I'm not ruling anything out here. I'm not guaranteeing shit. What I am saying is that the Warriors are a damn good team, and oftentimes my criticism of Kerr stems from the fact that even he doesn't realize that sometimes, because he overplays his starters and doesn't play a lot of role players that could be stars on other teams. This is a deep ass bench. This is a great roster. I thought Mike Dunleavy Jr. did a superb job putting a roster together that can win a championship.
Hell of a trade for Jimmy Butler. It has changed things for sure. By the way, Red Jet dropping a couple snaps and $10 in the ganja jar. Thank you as always, Red Jet. You are the best. Let's see. What else have
Laura Joan in the chat too? I agree with her too.
I wanted to share this.
11:42 a.m. in case you want to highlight that.
What's that?
11:42 a.m. Laura Doan. I just wanted to say I agree with her take as well in the chat at 11:42 a.m. She's an awesome Golden Dazer as well. And I thought her comment was,
can't you scroll back and call up things too? No, you can't do that.
I can't do it, unfortunately. No, I wish it. There you go.
Oh, okay. There's Laura. She says taking Steph out helps defensively and messes up any game plan the Wolves are prepared for. Sure. Okay, that's some Girl Scout cookie thinking. I really do like serious. There is no scenario where the Warriors have been rendered better by Steph Curry not playing tonight. I mean, good luck with it.
They were 7-5 this year without him. It's the first, and look, it's the first time I believe the Warriors have ever had a season where they actually have posted an improved record without him on the floor this season.
Curry, yes.
And it's not a diss at Steph at all. I'm not sitting here pretending they're better without him. But what I am saying again is two things. One, Steve Kerr's system, his actual coaching, not the GM, the coach, is brilliant. And you're going to now see that brilliance on display with a roster that is deep as F, might be the deepest roster in the entire NBA. I think they're going to be okay. I really do. I'm excited to see this.
I hope you're right. Again, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong about this. I'd love to be wrong. I'll be the first to come on next Wednesday and talk about how wrong I was. I hope the Warriors win another game in this series. I really do.
You don't think they're going to win another game?
I think they're in trouble.
What's your prediction right now? Where's the series going in your eyes?
I think it's Timberwolves in 6.
Wow. All right. So the Warriors are going to lose at home, is what you're predicting.
Yeah, I think they drop one of their games at home. Yeah.
We shall see.
I'm sorry, did the Rockets beat the Warriors at home?
Yeah, I'm not saying that's impossible, but I am saying the Rockets were a much better team than Minnesota. I think that's a safe thing to say from my perspective, at least. I think the Rockets were far superior to
I think
Minnesota.
Athletically superior, but from an experience standpoint, I think that Minnesota brings a little bit more experience to the table than Houston had to lean on. They had Fred VanVleet.
Champion. Dylan Brooks, who at least had postseason experience, right? Steven Adams had postseason experience. They had a few guys. They weren't like just raw. Here's another thing, Damon. And this is, I think, a fundamental difference between Houston and Minnesota. Minnesota does not have an Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson is going to be a superstar in this game. He has already reached a level that where Houston, even if Milwaukee came to him and said, we're going to give you Giannis Antetokounmpo if you give us Amen Thompson, I don't know if they do that. That's how good he's suddenly become. And Minnesota has Anthony Edwards, who's smaller, as crazy as this sounds, slightly less athletic. I think the Warriors are going to be okay, man. That's all I'm saying.
This is what I thought was the best post-game moment. And if you're asking who's got to lead the way without Steph, these two guys offensively are going to play a huge role in any success the Warriors have from here on out. And the pattern, the snappy back and forth between Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield, which we've heard an awful lot about. Like these two guys in the locker room ride each other like they're brothers, like they're related. And listen to this. This is just fantastic. You want to talk about why the chemistry is right and the vibes are good? Listen to Jimmy Butler ripping his teammate in a fun way.
I want to mention that you two guys were kind of going back and forth in the huddle even. Do you feed off? I mean, we've seen you guys go back and forth. You're doing it right now.
Action why we was going back and forth.
Why were you going back and forth?
Because when you know what, I'm not going to say exactly what I say in the locker room, but when I got a mismatch in the post, don't cut. Stay on the perimeter.
If you got a mismatch, you need to score the ball.
I am going to score the ball. I can't score the ball when you cut into my space. You're a shooter. You're not even a cutter.
So you see, score
you
the ball.
saw what happened when you shot a layup in the first quarter? Smokey Robinson. That's exactly what you did. Use the backboard too. Exactly.
Use the backboard too. That's just phenomenal. Use the backboard too.
Brilliant. I love these guys. And these are new Warriors, man. It is kind of weird that these are two guys who were not on the team a year ago, and they're now at the moment like pretty much the faces of this franchise. It's crazy, but Buddy Hield, my God, dude. I mean, find me someone not named Abraham DeLeon, who's a Golden Days side was not in our chat last night, surprisingly. And I give this random person, whoever he is in this world, I don't know if that's his real name, he was calling Buddy Hield out months ago, and this guy gives intelligent takes routinely. Bravo to Buddy Hield and this individual, Abraham DeLeon, for having the foresight to see this. Buddy Hield, man, if he continues this, no problemo for the Warriors. If Buddy Hield reverts to the old Buddy Hield, I'm going to be a little nervous at that point. I'll give you that in terms of the Warriors not being the same without Steph. They need Buddy Hield to continue this. There's no doubt about that.
does Buddy Hield need Steph's gravity to have these games? We're about to find out.
Yeah.
We are about to find out, because I would run every single perimeter defender I had at Buddy Hield for the remainder of this series and let Brandon Pajemski and Moses Moody, and Gary Payton and Draymond Green have as many wide open threes as they want. We're going to have two guys guard a not shooting Buddy Hield before we close out on a Brandon Pajemski three until he starts hitting them. If he starts hitting them, then you got to respect it. How about Draymond and this 3-point shooting? And I'll tell you, there was a point in that game where it's one of the things that Kerr talks about all the time. Forget about the doubles, forget about the triples, forget about the home run. Just hit singles. Mm-hmm. There was a point in that fourth quarter where Draymond had, on like 4 possessions, had 2 bad pass turnovers. And it was like, Draymond, you don't need that right now. Like, dribbling the ball out in the shot clock, just taking a shot clock violation, is a better idea than that, and creating a live ball turnover. Another reason why the Warriors won game 1 with their impressive defensive total is because even with all the turnovers, there were like no fast break points in that game last night. That entire game, as much as you'll ever see an NBA game that had as many turnovers as that game had, that entire game was played in the half court, which is another reason why Draymond had such a really good game. He can be great when he slows things down in the half court.
Did you see, and this stat is a perfect example of how different Minnesota is to Houston. Did you see the offensive rebounds? The Warriors had in this game.
The Warriors out-rebounded.
They did.
With 2 7-footers.
But the offensive boards, everyone was going crazy when Houston grabbed 22 offensive rebounds. And what was it, like game 2 or something? The Warriors had 18 last night. 18 offensive rebounds. Jimmy Butler with 7 of those. Buddy Hield with 4 of those. Draymond had none. It's crazy. Kevon Looney had 2 of those.
Kevon Looney, man. Kevon
This
Looney.
is a series for him, by the way. This is a series for him.
Who would have ever thought that Kevon Looney would reach the portion of his career where I trust him the most to make a layup?
29-year-old Kevon Looney.
What is it with this team and its layups? What is it? I mean, seriously. Like, it's uncontested layups you guys are smoking, or as Jimmy Butler said, Smokey Robinson. Dude.
Who's in trouble, by the way? I don't know if you saw that recently.
What's that?
Smokey Robinson is in trouble, by the way. I don't know if you saw that in the news.
Smokey Robinson is in a little bit of trouble. Did he reach the Bill Cosby portion of his career? That's not good.
Keep your hands off the help, man. Just keep your hands off the help.
You don't want to go
do their work, damn it.
The end of the career. Here's what I was looking for last night. Neither team got out on the fast break. It was only 10 fast break points for the Timberwolves, only 6 fast break points for the Warriors. A lot of turnovers without a lot of fast break points. Like, that's just weird. And it's because neither one of these teams could finish a layup last night. The Warriors, do you think they smoked 8 of them? 8 layups? I mean, the Warriors could have easily had another 16 points in this basketball game.
The missed layup thing this year has been a problem, man. The Warriors are easily, and there's actually statistics that confirm this. They were dead last in the NBA this year in missed layups. The reasoning for that, I mean, we've seen Brandon Pajemski miss a lot of layups. I don't know why he flubs a lot of those. GP2 wasn't guilty of that last night though, but we've seen him miss a few. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's a problem, but do you think your boy Trayce Jackson-Davis gets an appearance in the series?
Man, I like
him in spurts, dude. Like I'm not down on him like some people were. Like, when you look at the 4 games the Warriors played against Minnesota this season, and I brought this up repeatedly. Sorry for beating a dead horse if this is repeated to you, redundant to you. But the Warriors, when they played Minnesota those 4 games this year, and they won the season series 3-1. People are quick to dismiss the regular season matchups largely because, times have changed. The Warriors have completely different personnel. Minnesota has the exact same team as all 4 of those matchups. And on the Warriors side, at least 2 of those games that they won, Trayce Jackson-Davis started. So he can match up with this team. I wouldn't
see him out there. Again, from a size standpoint, you'd think he'd be out there.
Yeah.
From a size standpoint, you think he'd be out there. From a size and experience in the series standpoint, you think he'd be out there. He's not. The only time we've seen him is when he shoved Alperen.
I love that, which I loved.
That was great. Hey, mate, I think that's where the Warriors' Game 7 win might have started.
And piggybacking off that note, by the way, this is another reason why the role players, you can play as loose as you want. Oh, Pat Spencer, you're ejected. Oh no, the horror. Oh, but Anthony Edwards is also ejected. Yay! Like you can there is a freedom. And having players like Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler to kind of lead that aspect of the mental warfare, sign me up for this.
And I can tell you, if I'm also, Finch, I'm telling somebody it's your job to pull on Draymond's.
Yes, yeah.
You just pull on that thread, just pull on it to the point where he turns around and hits you, because we will trade you for him instantly. So Draymond can't be in foul trouble, can't be ejected in any game that Steph is now out of. And Jimmy Butler's going to have to mix in some threes to those fourth quarter free throws that he hits, and he's going to have to be more than a fourth quarter closer. I don't know if he can do that and be the defensive primary option for Anthony Edwards. I mean, remember, Jimmy Butler, he ain't no spring chicken either. So I hope and I see how the Warriors could do this, but I just think it's going to be really, really hard without Captain.
I get it. Look,
leading the way.
I'm sitting here defending the Warriors, a team that just lost one of the greatest players in the history of the game. I get it. I'm just sitting here saying strength in numbers is unlike the Niners faithful slogan, which is entirely a marketing campaign. Strength in numbers is very real.
It was a real thing. Yes.
They've won championships with this, with depth. And if any team can survive losing their best player, it's the Warriors and this Minnesota Timberwolves team. To see it like, do you not feel a stark contrast between Minnesota and Houston?
I do. Jalen Green is out here and is the promise of, every young athlete that has ever tried to be in the NBA standpoint. Yeah, they're a little different, but I think Minnesota's experience makes up for that and actually makes them a harder matchup than Houston was.
Like Minnesota does not have an Alperen Şengün you got to worry about, right? I Steven Adams made me far more fearful than Rudy Gobert does. Like I actually laugh when I see Rudy Gobert out there versus the Warriors. I do. There is no fear struck in my heart when I see Rudy Gobert. All I do is laugh and I welcome the opportunity. Julius Randle, I've never seen him step up in the postseason once. I mean, I know he had a decent series against the Lakers, so congratulations. I guess you did do it once, maybe. I haven't looked at his numbers yet in that series, but he does not strike fear in my heart when it comes to the Warriors. This is a great matchup for them. I really believe that. I'm not afraid personally.
I think Draymond can keep his cool, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah,
when he's out on that edge, when he's at his best. So how can he live on the edge yet keep his cool? I mean, he's very much like Maverick from Top Gun. Like he might get his entire squadron and himself killed, but he's also the best chance we got, and that's who Draymond is. And if he can make sure he doesn't hit the eject button and kill fucking Goose.
Are you blaming Maverick for Goose's death now? Was he always at fault? Like, is this something I missed? Like, should I in hindsight have been looking at that situation differently? Like Maverick was at fault?
Always at fault.
Maverick's at fault?
The person behind the wheel's at fault.
Oh, wow.
That's the way it goes.
So the guilt
behind the wheels at fault. You're the driver, you're the pilot. It's you.
I haven't really put much thought into the Maverick and the guilt trip that he lives with to this day aspect of it, as much as I should have, I think. Like, because Goose's son is a huge part of the
piano.
So it's not the plane's fault that the lid did not eject properly. It's Maverick's fault.
I don't think it was a mechanical failure there. Right. I don't know. I'll have to go back and study the tape. We're going to have a review. Colin Secaucus, I can take a look at it. Was that a clear path? Did he have a clear path to the canopy? Anyway, look, that was a weird game. It was an odd game. The Warriors, with their toughness and their, grit, if that's what you want to call it, get through, how they ended up scoring. Would they score 36 in the third with Curry not even on the court? Come on.
Correct.
Minnesota, you've got to be better than that.
Correct.
Again, Buddy Hield, if Buddy Hield keeps it a Klay Thompson Game 6 level incendiary all the way through, yeah, we'll see you in the fucking finals, baby. That's the way, sure. Okay. Can that happen? Can you really expect or count on that to happen? I don't think so. I do, the whole Batman and Robin thing. Again, it's run its course a little bit. It was funny. It was cute. It's like it's.
I still think it's funny. I love it. I'll take it all. I'll take it all until they're back.
It's like the Kelsey brothers. Like it had its moment in time, and now it's overexposed. Like
so you're saying it's corny. It's a little corny, is what you're saying. I feel you.
Well, the thing is, it's hardly original.
No, it's not original at all.
I mean, we were calling two kids on my son's flag football team Batman and Robin. So it's I don't think we should lean that far into it. But they like it. And again, whatever is keeping them fun and cool and calm and Steve Curry.
I just love the fact that how the seamlessness of the fit for Jimmy Butler, it just never ceases to amaze. This has been a fantastic experience so far. And Jimmy Butler, I still think part of the reason why he's more deferential than people like he's become such a facilitator. He's taken on a borderline point guard role with the Golden State Warriors. And so a lot of people don't like that. They want him to take over and score buckets routinely. And part of it is, I think that butt injury, the gluteus injury really is still affecting him. I don't see the explosiveness that we saw before the injury. And he's going to get better with each game. That's an injury that it's just a pain threshold thing. Each day that passes, it's going to get better and better. I love that dude, man. I hear what you're saying about the Batman thing. It's corny, but I like it.
Again, I don't know if he's ever had better teammates than the teammates that he has right now.
How could you? Steph and Dre? Perfect.
I mean, these guys are Hall of Famers. I don't know how many Hall of Famers Jimmy got to walk out on a court with night after night after night.
Well, that's why he left Miami. That and the money. Yeah, he wasn't happy. He was like, where's the help? Why am I carrying this team by myself? Can I handle Anthony Edwards? F yeah. So I can't. I'm all in. I was less confident than I am now about the Warriors. Like I'm far more confident about the Warriors now. This was like a therapy session for me. Thank you. Good stuff.
By the way, just asking, anybody miss Andrew Wiggins? No? Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're all still on that
years. They had like a 10-game losing streak after the trade, the Miami Heat. 10.
Yeah. Nothing says replace this leader with that leader who doesn't know how to lead, and look at what you got. Look, I
good call, man. Good call.
I hope I'm wrong about everything. I hope the Warriors sweep this series somehow, some way. They will steal game 2. By the way, taking 2 games on the road, I mean, it's what's happening everywhere. So maybe
Did you see the line? Did you see the line for this game?
What's the line?
The bookies agree with you. And sorry if you hear my dog here for a second. Because
wait a minute. I'm going to say I haven't looked. Minnesota -4.5.
Not even close. Do you want to give it another try?
Am I up or down? Not even close.
I can't help you there because I don't want to.
8. Minnesota giving 8.
You're still not there yet.
Huh?
You're still not there yet. You're warmer.
Wow, they're saying Curry's a 10-point difference. Is it Minnesota
10.5? And 10.5, Damon, courtesy of BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. The game starts here. Thanks for that slide. And the Warriors, 10.5-point underdogs. And this is where, if you're feeling good about the Warriors, and something tells me some of you out there are, the money line for this game too, +400. So if you bet 100, you win 400 just by the Warriors winning. Or if you just want the flat out even odds, or for as close as it gets, bet +10.5. Something tells me they're going to keep it close.
I love a money line bet when you have a small number and it's like you might, just forget the 3 points. Just write it on the money, honey. This isn't one of those. If I were betting this game, I would want to bet Warriors and take the 10.5. I wouldn't want to put it on the money, but I'd take the 10.5.
It's the Anthony Edwards factor, right? Is that what this line is? Or do you, that's what I would guess.
That is direct reflection of Steph Curry ain't here.
There you go.
That's all that.
You're right. Good call. Yes.
And I honestly forgot to think about that when I said 4.5. Or
yeah, it's easy to forget. You're right. You're right. That's exactly it. Because and for people who aren't familiar with the whole gambling side of things, these spreads are not designed based off what the bookies think will happen, even though the results do indicate that on a time-by-time basis. They are incredibly accurate. But no, it's based off public sentiment. It's about how people
to
feel.
Facilitate action. That's all.
Action. That's where it moves. Yeah, then you see the adjustments based on
the action.
I like gambling. It's fun as long as you do it responsibly, but it is so damn fun.
Gambling. That's what we're looking for. Cyrus, it was good to catch up with you again, man. I'd missed you
me too.
the last couple of weeks.
Are we done? Are we wrapping it up? Is that what that means?
Let's. Well, here's the thing. There are a couple of other things I guess we should bring up about, like the playoffs, because what is happening to Tyrese Halliburton right now is kind of amazing. You know, he was voted the most overrated, and he's having a hell of a playoffs. He just hit an unbelievable series-ending shot and had his dad taunting Giannis after that game in an embarrassing fashion. I saw the Sklar brothers were like somewhere. Tyrese Halliburton's dad is waving a Tyrese Halliburton towel in front of Tyrese Halliburton's mom because he's not allowed.
Are the Sklar brothers those twins, the comedian twins? Okay, yeah. That is funny. That is funny. And by the way, real quick, Damon, I got to say this real quickly here. I'm not sitting here telling you to bet on the Warriors. Like, I'm not feeling confident enough for them to win any individual games. I don't know how game 2 is going to go. But what I am saying here is I think the Warriors will win this series. I feel good about that. But please don't bet heavy on game 2 and then come back and say, I lost my house because of you. Please. I don't know how game 2 is going to go, but I do feel good about the Warriors in this series. And the series line, side note, on that note, it made me want to look this up. Would you want to guess
the email that he sent me at all this morning? Cyrus sent me an email that says, today I'm going to tell everyone that I'll cover their gambling debts as long as they're bet on the Warriors to win.
But
why'd you change your mind?
The Minnesota Timberwolves are now down 0-1. The Warriors are down Steph Curry. What do you think the money line is for this series at this point?
Are the Warriors still favored?
No.
Minnesota minus 200?
Well, now you're back. You're back. Damon Bruce is back. You were off by literally 5, minus 195. We're going to say that. I'm going to give you the plus or minus 5. You nailed it on the dot. Yes, the Minnesota Timberwolves are favored minus 195. The Warriors are plus 170. That I would feel good about. Like, you're not going to get a plus in front of the Warriors ever again if they win game 2. Now, granted, if they lose game 2, you might actually get a better line. So if you think the Warriors will lose game 2, then maybe actually wait on that a little bit because the Warriors, again, you'll get better odds after a game 2 loss. But I like the Warriors in the series, dude. I really do. I really do.
I wish I did. I really wish I did. The Indiana Pacers have done something that is like legitimately historic.
They're awesome, dude.
Watching. I mean, I don't even know if they're awesome, but the games that they've been winning have been awesome. And by the way, the fact that Tyrese Halliburton is doing this while the Sacramento Kings are like constantly, they traded away the player that they kept in front of him in De'Aaron Fox, and they got a new coach and a new GM, and it's like this is why you are the Sacramento Kings.
Well, this is also why
Tyrese Halliburton.
This is also why good owners are hard to find, and you don't take those for granted when you have one. This is why you don't see me rip Joe Lacob a lot, because you could easily have a Sacramento Kings situation. A guy like Vivek, whatever his last name is, was Ranadive. There you go. Who the owner of the Kings, who this guy thinks he knows basketball because he spent 1 year coaching his like 8-year-old's youth basketball team.
Right. And he ran like the Nolan Richardson 40 minutes of hell Arkansas full court press on these girls too. Like he was 35 running full court press on an 8-year-old girls team.
You know the story, and this guy thinks he knows hoops, and he makes these crazy decisions. He honestly thought putting DeMar DeRozan and oh my God, I'm brain farting this morning. I apologize. You know the player I'm talking about. Besides who's the other guy they got from the Bulls? The who was lighting it up scoring wise? Zach LaVine. Thank you. He thought those two, who did nothing with the Bulls in the Eastern Conference. And side note, watching the Cavaliers, I hope you have a little more of a better understanding why I don't take the regular season in the Eastern Conference seriously, because it's a joke.
So beat up right now.
It's a joke. And so a year ago, the Bulls were barely getting to the play-in with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine as your two prize pieces. Vivek thinks, hey, let's trade for those guys because that's going to work in the West. Are you out of your mind, man? I'm officially going to hit the pause button on beating up on the Kings because I'm starting to feel for their fans a little bit. It's going to be bad for a very long time again. The fact that the guy thinks he knows more than the coaches, the front office, that's a mess. The Kings are screwed unless Vivek takes a huge step back. But that's just me.
Let me tell you what I want to do. I want to go ahead and get clearance with bed timing and everything. Maybe I can join you for a little game 2 post game.
Hell yeah, dude. Are you coming?
Little game 2 post game.
Well, so Kruger and I are doing this.
Here's the thing. Let me talk to Mrs. in charge of the house. And if I get permission, let me see if I can join you for game 2 post game. I'll shoot you a text later tonight. But I just gotta get this. I'm no Pacers fan. As a matter of fact, growing up a Bulls fan, I fucking hated the Pacers and Reggie Miller and Rick Smits and blah. Indiana up my ass. The only thing I like in Indiana.
You like Deadlift Shrimp?
Everyone liked Deadlift Shrimp. Come on. I'm just a man. Everyone liked Deadlift. Okay. In the last 20 years, there's a large sample size. In the last 20 years, teams trailed by 7 or more points in the final 48 seconds of a fourth quarter or overtime are 3 and 1,679. 2 of those 3 have happened in the last 8 days because of Tyrese Halliburton. And the other one of those, I'm guessing, is the Reggie Miller going bonkers at Madison Square Garden, turning around and giving Spike Lee the double birds. So in the last 20 years, 3 times has a team overcome that, and it's been the Pacers all 3 times. Isn't that nuts?
That is very nuts. I love Joe Schmo also bringing up the Davis brothers because Dale Davis is Trace Jackson Davis's father.
I know. If Dale had Trace work on more layups,
I know.
I mean, what I can't understand is this problem with layups.
It's crazy.
Exist in Bloomington. It didn't exist in Bloomington. Trey has never been a spot-up shooter. He's always been really nice, either with force or touch around the rim. And I don't know if he's just getting spooked by bigger, superior, more experienced players. I don't know what it is, but
I'm going to give you an answer that you may or may not like. But this goes back again to a theme that makes me polarizing in Dub Nation, and I'm always going to pick the side that I think is honest versus making people happy, and that's sometimes going to bite me in the ass with followers and likes and stuff, and I'll live with that. And this is going to be unpopular as well because I believe it, and some people won't, but Ramona Shelburne was on Golden Days about a month and a half ago, and she's been doing an excellent job covering the Warriors behind the scenes and reporting.
Love Ramona.
I do too. I think she's excellent at what she does, and she nailed it, which is that, and this has been my entire beef with the Steve Kerr coaching era, because again, the system is brilliant, but he'll never trust young players, right? He has a very hard time trusting rookies. Brandon Podziemski seems to be the one exception to that.
A lot of coaches who do trust young players. I mean, Don Nelson was famous for saying, trusting young players get coaches fired.
It can. That's fair, but also not trusting him in this case is gotten Steve Kerr in trouble because he's oftentimes playing the guys he trusts, and they're not usually the better athletes and maybe the better players. And the reason why this comes up with Trace Jackson Davis is because Ramona Shelburne interviewed back in 2022, 2023, a lot of the Warriors players, not named Stephen Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and the recurring theme she heard from all of them was that because they're treated as role players, meaning they have no idea if their job and their role is safe on a day-by-day basis, that part of it is getting in their heads. You saw James Wiseman in his rookie season not have problems with his hands. You saw James Wiseman, when he came back from the injury, have problems with his hands. Trace Jackson Davis, you just admitted you watched him almost religiously at Indiana all those years. Had no problems with his hands, with dunking, with layups. Now suddenly, after not seeing it last year, problems with layups. You can't treat, and look, and this could be a much bigger picture discussion, a whole other show, but you just can't treat young players like that and expect results.
100% agree with you and Ramona Shelburne. You have to know what you're doing or going to be asked to do day in, day out as a professional athlete. If you ask me, what is the single biggest incomplete and disaster of the Farhan Zaidi era of the Giants? It wasn't that he asked every position to be in a platoon. It wasn't that they didn't spend the appropriate amount of money. It wasn't that he wasn't able to lure the free agent or develop the player coming through their own minor leagues. It's that every single day in that clubhouse, guys walked in not knowing if they were starting, platooning, pinch hitting, having a day off. There has to be an expectation. There has to be an expectation. And I do think that these have been critical missteps. I don't think we're deep enough into Trace's career. Trace could also have regressed. Being a big young player in this league is a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this is part and parcel of why Moody isn't who he could be, why Pajemski's been a little bit of a stop and start player. And certainly the biggest example of them all is Jonathan Kaminga.
Although Wiseman's a really big one too, because he was the number 2 pick, and they just gave up on that fast. And
I thought Wiseman was there were two things working against James Wiseman that, you should have been able to predict one. The other just kind of happens. He did get hurt at terrible times in his development.
Same with Kaminga too. The injury this year, costly. Costly. Sorry, go ahead.
Cyrus, remember we talked about it when it was happening. Yeah. If he isn't back in the next 10 days,
you're right.
The odd man out in the postseason.
Right.
Remember me saying that? And you're like, no, they're just going to integrate him.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, man.
The James Wiseman was battling his own body, which was failing on him in too many ways, and
still is.
His actual desire to love playing basketball. I don't think Moody's got any qualms about, I'm not playing tonight, but I love the game. Like, Moody loves the game. Gary Payton loves the game. Pajemski loves the game. I don't think for a minute James Wiseman loved the game. And this got attached to him coming out of Memphis, coming out of high school, where everyone said, look, had he been a brilliant computer programmer, he would have gone into computer programming. But he's not that. What he is 7'1". He's just, his body says, play basketball. So because that was the gift he was given, that's the vocation he chose, not because he loved it, but because he had it in him. And he just didn't, he's not that dog. I mean, again, to be successful in this league, you got to have a dog in you.
That's you right.
It's why Pat Spencer means something today. And it's why Pat Spencer feels like he means more than Andrew Wiggins ever did. Because Andrew Wiggins does not have that dog. Again, Andrew Wiggins had one great week for the Golden State Warriors, and luckily for the Warriors, that was the week of the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics.
That whole postseason was amazing, actually.
That week, as much as the universe just picked him that week. So
he was amazing for 2 months, but it was the only 2 months that I ever saw was amazing. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Those 2 months should have had him go back into the lab and say, I got that in me. I'm bringing that every night now. I am 10 rebounds a night before I'm even a point. I am going to just hit those boards with all of my athleticism. And he quickly went back to like 3.5 rebounds a night. Not really. It's hard to get a rebound when you're jogging in between 3-point lines. Anyways, I don't want to turn this into
no. You're right. And this also reminded me, actually. I'm glad you said all that. I don't know why what you said reminded me of this, but a source told me. I'll leave it at this. I don't want to get too into it because I do have connections with the whole Kaminga thing, and it's part of the reason why I guess sometimes get a little more emotional than usual, because I hear and see a lot of what happens behind the scenes, and it sucks. It just sucks. But with all that said, I will say this about Kaminga and his camp right now. They feel good. And they said something to me last night, which I thought was very eye-opening in a positive way. Kaminga now realizes his value, if he wants to make this work, at least for this postseason, his value is going to come from rebounding.
That's it.
He realizes that. And when I read that, I just, that was music to my eyes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It was poetry to my eyes.
Well, you read it, so it couldn't be music to your ear.
Whatever the analogy is.
Read out loud, guys.
If Kaminga just keeps it simple and focuses on rebounding and defense and hit, and the only time you're putting up threes if you're wide open like he was last night, because I don't think he's a bad 3-point shooter. Right? That's been a massive criticism of his from a lot of people, rightfully so. The percentages are not great, but he's also not horrible either. He's average at best, but he hit it. I just keep it simple. Focus on rebounding. Focus on defense. Make Anthony Edwards' life difficult. You've got to roll for this postseason.
And here's the thing. I don't think, if you're talking about where is the lack of IQ, it is in the help defense. It is into where his eyeballs or where his body needs to be positioned, angles. That's where he is always, he's on the wrong hip and the side of the block. I mean, that happened last night. You saw Kerr call a quick timeout when he got spun around on a low block, and that was an early timeout. It was even brought up in the broadcast. Like, I think Steve's going to be talking to Kaminga during this timeout. Just rebound, kid. Because here's the thing. You're enough of an athlete to just walk into 8 points on fast breaks and putbacks and things like that. It's going to just rebound, kid. And and there are 20 minutes for you in every single game remaining in this series. Steph back or not, Kaminga can play in this series. And I hope he does. And I really hope he plays well. I'm rooting for him. I want it to work. The Warriors want it to work. There's no element of Steve trying to sabotage his own chances to win. I think that's how you present it sometimes, where that's clearly not happening. A choice has been made with the leaders of this team, Steve, Steph, Draymond, and now Jimmy, I think, and obviously Mike Dunleavy has to be roped into this because he's got big dollar choices coming up with him too. They want it to work. It just hasn't worked nearly as much as they've wanted it to work.
Yeah, I've never accused Kerr of making these decisions on a personal level, like he's vindictive or any. I've never said that, and that's never where I'm going with this. Like, I wrote a story on my Substack page. It's dogwild.substack.com if you want to check it out. And I wrote a whole piece about the Kaminga DNP in the first round of the Rocket series and those 3 games leading into it. And what I wrote was, and I had a whole discussion with this on Larry, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I read this quote that Steve Kerr gave for the justification of Jason Tatum being DNP'd for those 2 huge games in the Olympics. And I just simply replaced the words. Like instead of Kevin Durant, I slipped in Jimmy Butler in the quote. And instead of Jason Tatum, I slipped in Jonathan Kaminga in the quote.
Okay, so you played Mad Libs with the player names.
And yes, and it just made it's not personal. It's just Steve Kerr has in his mind certain ideas and for what are good matchups and combinations, and the rhyme or reason to that he doesn't delve into. He oftentimes admits that it's because of intuition or his gut, and it's just, and that's the part of it that's start to stomach sometimes. It's when you give me the coach speak, the just because, right? Like, that's just, I don't stomach that well. I try to approach life logically, and there's no logic in telling me you're making decisions based off your gut.
I hear you. But when you hang 4 banners, you do get a little element of trust me, bro. Right? You do.
Well, the Steph KD teams is why I don't look at it as 4. Like, the first one I give him full credit for in terms of his system making the difference.
Hey, man, where is Kevin Durant won without this team? Show me the coach that has gotten a title out of Kevin Durant, but for Steve Kerr.
I guess I don't look at coaches in the same way as some people do. I just like Stephen Curry to me is the person who should be getting like the accolades, the spotlight.
Right,
look what Nikola Jokic is doing right now with the Nuggets. Like the NBA for most of its existence only had one coach on its staff. Didn't even have assistants, right? And you may or may not remember this or know this. Like, the 70s had no assistants. The end of the 70s, coaches were allowed to have 1 assistant, and then that increased to 2, and then it evolved to what we have today, which is like 2 rows of assistants for every coach. It's absurd. But you look at the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is coach of that team himself. Draymond Green, massively high basketball IQ, was scripting plays for the Warriors in the huddle. I'm just not a guy who looks at coaches and thinks that coach in the NBA
what I think a coach does more than anything else. What I think a coach does more than anything else is you're sort of like a peacekeeper in your own locker room. And this is where Steve Kerr is Red Auerbach. Steve Kerr manages egos, hot tempers, players with massive personalities.
That's right.
Better than maybe any coach in the history of the sport. He's had more volatility on his roster in just Draymond Green.
No, Phil Jackson would like to say something to you about that.
Phil Jackson was like, but here's the thing, would you ever say that Phil Jackson was a bad coach?
Never.
Would you ever say that Phil Jackson was the product? Okay, but here's the thing.
By far.
Did Phil Jackson win shit without Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant?
He did go to the playoffs without them. He never missed the playoffs once. Phil's the GOAT.
Yeah, but how often was Kobe or Michael not part of that?
Often, but that Bulls team in '94, like that was at least partly coaching. That was not a great team that he still took to the conference semifinals. Like that job, the fact that he took over a Lakers team that was grossly underperforming. Kobe was only 21. Phil's the GOAT, man. To me, there's no comp.
He's great. Well, and the thing is, too, when it came to X's and O's, that was Tex.
Yeah, you're right. Tex Winter, you're 100%.
Still managed egos.
And Ron Adams was to me, Ron Adams was to Kerr what Tex Winters was to Phil. That's always how I look at it in terms of the value of assistance. Like,
Ron Adams was to Steve Kerr what Buddy Ryan was to Mike Ditka.
Yeah, you're right, because Ron Adams was the defensive guy. And he's still around, by the way, just behind the scenes. But he doesn't come to the games anymore.
My favorite was the Ron Adams double thigh slap. Oh, he was pissed off. This is the height of Ron Adams is furious. That's it. He would do the double thigh slap, stand up in a timeout, and go talk to Draymond. Oh, Ron's pissed. Oh, it was great.
It was. Another infamous Ron Adams moment from just a couple years ago, the infamous Draymond Green Jordan Poole incident. Do you remember? Everyone else is like, whoa, and he's just sitting there yeah, I've seen this. What else is new?
From the generation that I'm from, we call this Tuesday.
Exactly.
He's like, dude, he doesn't get
Ron Adams was awesome.
Practice.
And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, man. Like, you're going to need good coaching to win a championship this year. I believe with conviction, this roster is built to win a title. When you look at the landscape, I don't know if it's ever going to be open like this again, man, at least not in the immediate future. There is an opportunity to seize. And if Kerr leads this team to a 5th championship, I'm getting a tattoo with him on my body, man. I'm forever in reverence. I will be the deferential individual that so many others are already with Steve Kerr. Join me. I will join you in that group, but I need 5. 5 is my magic number. That's just me.
A total of success rarely ever seen in the history of the sport is bare minimum to qualify. I don't like that rhetoric. You and I grew up with Phil winning 11, Pop won 5, Riley won 5. I grew up on the Niners winning 5. It is not as rare to me as you're making it out to be. But I do think Stephen Curry, for all the opportunities, for the landscape of the NBA, for how good he is, I want 5 rings, man. I do think the Warriors these last 3 years, if you have 0 rings to show for it, is an underachievement. That is my rhetoric. That's me. So win a championship this year. I really think anything from here is gravy. There is no underachievement. There is no the Warriors screwed up Steph Curry's prime. They got 4 championships during Steph Curry.
I want 5. And look, you look back, if Michael Jordan, there was a difference between Jordan winning 5 and 6. There was a difference between Kobe winning 4 and 5. There are levels to this. I want Stephen Curry to look at LeBron James and go, you ain't got this, bitch. You ain't got this, mofo. I want that, man. Call me petty if you have to. I want half of the NBA fan base, which I feel like is the number for LeBron's fans, to cry so I can eat those and drink those little tears and go to sleep beautifully.
I will say this. The NBA, which for years and years would offer the same team either appearing in or winning the finals, it has become more wide open. There is more talent spread out around this league, diversifying who could possibly be a champion than ever before. And this goes back to the Toronto Raptors beating the Warriors, then the Lakers winning the bubble title, followed by the Milwaukee Bucks getting Mike Budenholzer as close to a championship, I guess, as he's going to be allowed to get again. Giannis,
he's done.
Golden State Warriors then won it again over the Boston Celtics. Then it was the Nuggets. Then it was the Celtics' turn. It could be back to the Nuggets this year. I could still see the Boston Celtics winning a championship.
They could.
I think the New York
open, Knicks, man.
I think that dude, what if it could you imagine if you got like a Golden State Warrior New York Knicks NBA Finals? I mean, that would be.
Steph loves the Garden, man.
Oh, that's the thing. Steph at the Garden. Oh,
dude, Damon, here's what I envision. Okay, I want a summer where for like months we're just partying, like golden days. This week at this bar all week. That's what I want. I want just a summer of celebration, frivolities, and just riding off in the sunset, man.
Cyrus is covering everybody's gambling debts as long as you've been on the Warriors to win, and he's buying drinks all summer long.
I wish I could.
Bars for multiple
the drinks. We shall see. If I can get the establishment to go along with it, we shall see. But I want a summer of Steph. I want to see the summer of Steph.
JP from the 510. Cyrus, hold on. Wait. Hold on. Cyrus is like, hold on. Here we go. Wait, damn it. It keeps on scrolling up here. Here we go. Not 5.
No, because 5's a good number, man. Jordan has 6. That's an elite number. It's such a difficult. 6 is insane. Give me 5, dude. 5 puts you with Kobe, with Magic.
One of these things is impressive. One of them.
You're right. You're right. But Steph is that good, Damien. And again, like we grew up witnessing greatness. We saw, like, for all the younger folks out there, for the folks that jumped on the Warriors bandwagon when Steph arrived. Sports existed before that for many, many decades. We've seen greatness time and time and again. And Steph is worthy of 5 championships. If you disagree that the Warriors are underachieving if they finish with 4 in this run, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. My opinion is they should have had 5 by now. And if they get 5 this year, I'm a happy man.
Put that on Draymond Green, right? They would have had 5 by now, but
for the NBA, I mean,
he had to go speed bag LeBron's Grundle.
Did you see Stephen A. Smith how he called out Windhorst for that? You got the stimulus package, and then Windhorst was like,
by the way, what a great way to say it. That really was it. The NBA gave LeBron a stimulus package.
And he's
get out of that 3-1 deficit. By the way, thank you very much, Christopher, for the super.
I admit it.
Greedy fan energy. Here's the thing. That's why I love talking to Cyrus, man. Cyrus feels what he feels. And I've been talking to Cyrus for years, and he's never changed, and I never want him to. And that's our guy. It's always great to have you on. Are you ready for a little day in history?
Yeah, I was about to say, we're not skipping that, right? Okay, good.
Never. There's a history lesson at the end of every show here. Today in history, no significant birthdays to even suggest. I'll go back to this, though.
Can I real quick, just before you do that, I just want to just say one more quick thing here, just to add a little more perspective. I grew up on the 49ers, all right? So the greedy fan energy comes from that. I grew up watching a dynasty and following it religiously for 18 years, dominate the NFL. And it made me a student of dynasties because I witnessed this growing up thinking, God damn, this is incredible. And Eddie D did follow a formula, and that formula can help sustain dynasties. And it also did make me a little spoiled and greedy. I will admit that.
But there was a formula that existed before a salary cap.
Well, no, he did the 5th one with the salary cap. You can continue. The formula for sustaining it, the Spurs did it as well. You just have to move on. You have to move on and embrace the next generation. And if you don't do that, your dynasty has one run and it's going to get capped. If you try,
Bill Walsh, better to say goodbye a year too early than a year too late.
Yes, sir. He would have won 4 if he stayed, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, sir.
Iceman coming in with a 10 spot. Thank you very much. There was a birthday you forgot yesterday. Orson Welles. You know, you're right. I almost included him. I've been leaning out of the celebrating people who have died birthdays, because if we start or like anyone who was ever famous born on this date, that's all the segment becomes. So every now and then we get a mention. Again, Citizen Kane, great movie. Most people tell you it's a great movie. Most people still haven't seen it. It is a great movie. But yes, Orson Welles. What
is your thought on Orson Welles? He's an interesting figure in I don't think just film history. I feel like cultural history. You see Family Guy. I don't know if you watch that animation. I love it. It's on Comedy Central all the time now. And they mock him once in a while for being just so obese, right? And just taking in all of life's pleasures, for better or worse. The man was just gorged everything. He loved life, for better or worse. But, you know, some people have strong opinions on him. I'm too young to remember anything about him. For me, it's just all about reading what he did and whatnot. What's your take on Orson Welles?
He's from generation, didn't upset me. I don't care. I think Citizen Kane is an absolute masterpiece.
It is, because it is.
Director, incredible eye, incredible storyteller. I love that Orson Welles scared half the planet, or at least half the United States, with the War of the Worlds radio broadcast in the 50s, where people actually were hearing a show on the radio that they thought was a real news report of aliens landing. Orson Welles was ahead of his time. Orson Welles would have kicked all of our asses on YouTube. I guarantee it.
Agreed. He was a vision. He was very special. By the way, JJ Rader in the chat, 12:32 p.m. is writing that what's wrong with half the Warriors fan base is what I expressed. Look, if you're going to be, if the other side of it is being complacent and satisfied with 4 championships, but how can you ever achieve true greatness in this world if you just sit there being satisfied with achieving certain marks? Why not strive for more? What is wrong with trying to even achieve greater things? And what's wrong with expecting it when the players who got you 4 are still in their prime and should be getting you 5? I strongly push back on that sentiment. I don't think there's anything wrong with striving for getting the most.
I think you just included the thing. If all of this happened 4 years ago and the phrase "in their primes" still applied, the 3 most important players on this team are far past their primes. They're on the downhill slope of their careers.
But they're still playing damn good basketball, Damon. I mean, Steph at 37 is still better than 99.9% of the NBA. And he was 36 last year, 35 the year before that. Right. This is where we can agree to disagree. This is now the hamstring. The hamstring. That's the thing. That's what happens at this point in career. So to expect it's all the same still. Why have you guys stopped winning titles? You should all still be winning titles. You're all still in your prime. They're not. This is the back slope. And there is no sport where what's next comes at you faster than in the sport of basketball. I'm going to tell you right now, the Houston Rockets next year, look out. They had a shooter. They keep Van Vliet. Look out. I think you think Van Vliet stays? That's a tongue twister. You think Van Vliet stays with the Rockets next year?
If I were the Houston Rockets, I would want him to stay. I would. That guy was the stabilizing force of a team that had not done anything even close to what they were trying to do this year. And Van Vliet, more often than not, was their best player on the court. I mean,
the only reason why I think he's going to move on is because the Rockets have Reed Shepherd waiting in the wings, who plays the same position.
They might skew financially very responsible and take a step back to bring in the next generation and try to hold on with Van Vliet. But again, I would bring him back.
But here's the full. Let me finish real fast because I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is you have Reed Shepherd, and if you can keep him as an asset when you make these trades, he's your point guard. And then Fred VanVleet has a team option, I think, for $46 million next year. You sign that, and then you trade him, and you use that $46 million to get your Kevin Durant, to get whatever this big piece is. I feel like in terms of just puzzles, pieces moving and matching and fitting, the Rockets don't have a ton of big salary slots that they can move to make these trades work. But Fred VanVleet at $46 million with Reed Shepherd waiting in the wings, I could see that being the avenue they go down. But you're right, the Rockets have an exciting offseason for them.
If he is the equivalent of a cap cut, then yes, that I could see how that would happen. I wouldn't want it to happen if I were the Rockets.
I hear and by the way, Amen Thompson, dude, or Amen Thompson. I can't remember
were you an Amen or an Amen guy?
I was Amen for a while, but it's Amen Thompson.
See, to me, you said Amen at the end of the prayer, but at the end of the song, it was Amen. Anyway, Damian LaRoche, who has been a member over on Golden Days for 8 months now, says, I concur. Nothing tastier than a tier.
Yes, sir. He's mocking LeBron fans. Yes, absolutely, man. I will lap their tears up all day, every day, just because that entire fan base is just riddled with so much ignorance, and it's entirely based on pretending basketball never existed before 2000. It's some of the most absurd shit imaginable coming from that fan base. I want to see them cry. I really do. And
fans are a little annoying, but I mean, dude, have you seen Warriors fans on Twitter? You want to talk about an annoying fucking bunch? Oh my God.
Good point. And my pushback to that is Stephen Curry is to me even more special than LeBron. And I just, it's a crime to me if we look back 20 years from now and Steph finishes with 4. That's just me. Again, maybe I'm peculiar saying that, but to me, it fits better. If we're going to talk about fits in the same way that Steve Kerr subjectively thinks certain players fit with certain combinations, I think the perfect fit is Stephen Curry with 5.
So if he gets 5, you're not going to be all bitchy about 6 then, are you?
No, if they get 5, this show, Golden Days moving forward, will be strict Warriors analysis without any additional emotional context pertaining to championship goals. It's all gravy after that, man. Oh, yeah, you're going to see me wind down big time if they win 5.
I
It's
think
just
you're
going to
in
be
your salad days right now, baby. I think
all the people who think like I'm on medication, or all the people who think I'm crazy because I get all that is it's just the Warriors have such an opportunity. The window is so minimal, and the fact that the Warriors can get a 5th and that opportunity is there, the chance is there. Seize that shit, man. This is your chance right now. And yeah, if they get 5, man, I'm getting a Steve Kerr tattoo, and I'm going to be happy about it.
Where are you going to get the tattoo? You going
Undecided.
like
You're gonna factor into this. You and the audience, everyone will factor into what the art will be. It's not going to just be Kerr. It's going to be Kerr and some other, we'll figure it out. But yeah, it'll be my first tattoo. You and I are both virgins with the tattoo scene, right?
Yeah, I'm a tattoo-free human being.
Yeah, me too.
There's part of me that instantly wants to go butt cheek, but then again, I want to be able to see it without having.
It will be a butt cheek. It'll be like a shoulder back, like maybe
a big like crying Virgin Mary, but it's Steve Kerr.
I like Zoltamus in the chat. 12:39 p.m. saying do a Warriors Mount Rushmore, and I could see that. Do a tattoo with like Steph. Rick,
it's
who's
just
on the Mount Rush.
Steph's face 4 times.
Klay Thompson, you said?
It's just Steph's face 4 different times.
Well, who would be on the Rushmore? It would be Steph. It would be Dre. It would be is Klay on that? But then I put Steve Kerr kind of somewhere in there too, like underneath the 4. I do something like that.
No coaches can be on the mountain, right? No coaches can be on the mountain.
The coach would be like right underneath. I think he would be like a nice
important players in the history of the Golden State Warriors. Look at it this way. Can we, for just placement's sake, leave Wilt Chamberlain out of this conversation? Because in the conversation, he's on the mountain. So let's leave Wilt out of the conversation. That's more Philadelphia than Golden State. Okay.
Exactly.
So here it is. Vonteego Cummings. No.
Well, Nick J's on your beat. Like, look at what Nick J at 1241 wrote. I love it.
What is he writing? Tell me. You're giving me time. So
Mount Rushmore. I'm sorry for the time markers. I thought that helped you find him. Nick J at 1241 writes that Todd Fuller, Patty O'Brien, fine Irish lad, Ike Diagu, and Justinian Jessup should be on the Mount
Rushmore. Of those 4, Ike Diagu was the all-star, right? I mean, he was so much better than the rest of those guys. Justinian Jessup. Oh my God.
How many years did we hear about that guy? It was like 5 years every offseason. He's playing in Australia. He's doing okay, or New Zealand, or yeah, that was crazy.
You remember when you used to get excited about Marco Bellinelli summer league shooting splits? I mean, come on. Anyways, the all-time Golden State Warrior Mount Rushmore in no particular order is
Fozzie, yes.
Rick Barry, Al Attles, Steph Curry,
Dre,
and then it's probably Draymond.
Yeah. I mean,
Draymond. Look at it this way: it's Draymond or Klay Thompson.
The Al Attles piece, I get it. I just feel like with Rick Barry, it's redundant. You're getting like 2 people from the same period. I'd consider Chris Mullin. I feel like he represents such an era that was 30 years of incompetency, but you had these little brief.
But to be on the Mount Rushmore, you can't be on team never won it all.
Oh, fair. Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
You
Good
cannot.
Point. Okay, so Rick,
you cannot have a. The thing that was the best about that era was the nickname Run TMC.
So who's the audience saying? Like a lot of Chris Mullins in the chat for that 4th one. Swaggy P. Yeah, that's Nick Young. A bunch of Nick Youngs. Maybe Klay. I guess to be determined. But you're right. I feel like 3 of the slots are set. Steph, Dre, Rick, and then that 4th one, Iguodala maybe. I mean, I think Iguodala could be in the conversation. No. He's a Finals MVP. I don't know. That's a good one.
Klay Thompson 1,000,000 times more than Andre Iguodala.
Good point. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
I'm trying to think who qualifies. For a minute there. Baron Davis or Stack Jack.
I know that Baron Davis was sweet. Do you watch the Draymond show? Like, is that something you actually watch, or are you just watch the aggregates?
I catch it more in clips than I do in its entirety.
It's a good show, though. Like, he blasted Dylan Brooks. I don't know if you saw that. Just ripped him a new one.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Now, and that's the question, someone's like, NRG is saying, KD wasn't there. That's the thing. To me, Kevin Durant gets to be on the dynastic statue that will someday be out in front of Chase Center. He does not get his own statue, nor should his number be retired. Because when given the opportunity to step back into the circle of love, he said, no. I'd rather dick around with Bradley Beal. And to me, that is a disqualifying approach to any all-time status.
Good point.
With the Golden State Warriors.
Fozzie dropping another donation just because we went this long. Thank you.
Just because you haven't ended the show yet. There you go. A couple bucks to keep it going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a cup of coffee.
By the way, I told you I had to go at 12. I actually texted someone to say I'm going to be late. Now we're very late. I'm going to have to just cancel it. But anyways, are you ready for today in history? Are you ready?
Sorry, man. I am ready. Yes.
Hey, this has been a great show, and like I said, we were long overdue. It had been 3 weeks since we've done a show.
Playoffs, man. It's the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Are you kidding me? Playoffs.
Today in history.
I just want to win a game. Any game.
Today in 1663, the Theatre Royal, which was open in London, opened today in 1663. And the reason why I tell you that is because you can go there tonight. How many theaters opened in 1663 are still open? It is the oldest operating English theater still in use, and it is older than the United States of America.
Bravo.
Not bad.
They
ain't holding them like that no more.
I like that.
Today in 1915, you World War I buffs will be happy to know that a German submarine sank the Lusitania, which is what dragged the United States into World War I. Today in 1945, speaking of world wars,
you don't know that either, by the way. That's good information.
There you go.
Yeah.
Today in 1945, the German delegation showed up at Dwight Eisenhower's headquarters in France to sign the surrender documents and end the European phase of World War II. So on the same day in history, you basically get the beginning of World War I.
It's crazy.
And a major step towards ending World War II. Don't tell me the time isn't a flat circle, man. It really is.
Well, and the time isn't a flat circle thing that trips me out the most to this day is that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both dying on the exact same day, July 4th. And I think it was exactly 50 years after the birth of the country.
Really?
That's insane.
I didn't know they both went out on the same day.
Like 50 years to the day after the revolution. Yeah, it's that, like, there's certain things that are just insanity that have no logical explanation.
I'll wrap up with this because, look, you and I have not been to the Royal Theater. We weren't there for World War I or II. Seemingly, we will all be around for World War III. So enjoy that, everybody. It's coming soon. Anyway, today in 1946, something that has definitely affected our lives happened. It was created, and it happened over in Japan. The Sony Corporation was founded today in 1946. My teenage coolness was defined by my Sony Walkman. I mean, my then transition from Sony Walkman to the yellow, suggesting to be waterproof Sony Discman that you would then put in your car and you'd go over a speed bump and your CD would still skip. But that's how I had the first ever CDs in the car. You would plug an adapter into the CD that then was on a cassette, and then you put the cassette into the cassette player, and that's how you would play your CD player. I know people.
Some of us didn't stop doing that until very recently.
Like, Grandpa, what's the CD? Oh, it's like a newspaper, but it was flat. Anyways,
some of us were doing the cassette thing plugged in with the wire until pretty recently, Damon. It's a. But you're right.
These
cassette players are not installed anymore in cars, and Neither are cigarette lighters, right? Those are phased out, correct?
Yeah, no cigarette lighters. You're right.
Yeah,
Those are gone now. No ashtrays. There used to be ashtrays in cars. You don't see a lot of those these days either. Sony TVs, Sony boom boxes, Sony headsets.
Great product. My Sony TV, 10 years and running. Thank you, Sony.
There you go. Yeah. Get it done.
Good product. Good high quality product.
It. Cyrus, there is all the history we need. And look, I want to wish the Warriors all the freaking luck in the world. Make me shut my fat mouth up in the next round, because my predicting the Warriors in trouble doesn't mean nothing.
I'm not saying that at all.
No. I'm saying that. I'd love to be wrong. Please be wrong, Damon. I think the Warriors are in trouble from here on out. Just keep it interesting. Here's the thing. Get me to a game 7. Get me to a game 7.
I think Steph will play if it's a game 7. There was good news from this. It was grade 1 was the best case scenario. It is weird and unfortunate that Steph's never had a muscle tear in his career. And like that sucks. So this is something new for him. And that's probably the wrinkle that worries me the most in all this. But I see the Timberwolves. I see the Warriors roster. I see how they played without him this year. And I'm not guaranteeing a thing, but I feel good about the Warriors. I predicted Warriors in 6 before the series started. Still sticking with that. It might even be 5, but probably 6.
By the way, Zothmus is like, hey, dude, PlayStation. Yeah, Sony gave us PlayStation. I mean, come on. What would we be without that? And by the way,
6 coming out soon, baby. We got a year
of worthy birthdays to celebrate.
Ooh.
I met her in Japan. JP from the 510. We did a Plus Mania meetup in Japan. I met VNA. It's like DNA, but VNA is her name. Wonderful couple. Happy birthday, VNA. Thanks again for buying the boys things. What a sweet, sweet couple JP from the 510 and his beautiful wife are. So happy birthday to your wife. Happy get that hamstring better day to the most important Golden State Warrior of all time, Steph Curry. All thoughts, healing vibes, going to that hamstring. Get better, brother. And Cyrus, again on Wednesday, shall we?
Every Wednesday, Absolute Warriors Weekly. And Smiley Dan, I want to give him props because you and I, Damon, were both Gen X. And we like our generation, like I guess, look, everybody above us as well had to adapt. But yeah, we like nothing has been stable in our lives in terms of technological advancements, right? Like some people our age might remember beta tapes even before VHS. VHS tapes went extinct. CDs went extinct. Cassettes went extinct. TV is going extinct. You and I didn't grow up on the internet.
A buddy of mine in college sunk what had to have been like over $1,000 into the size of a record player laser discs that movies were coming on.
Yeah.
And Blu-ray players and all that. And think of the thousands of dollars he probably invested in all that only for the entire technology to be rendered obsolete. Planned obsolescence has not been our friend. Has not been our friend in our lives. You're right. There is a planned level of obsolescence to everything that gets designed these days.
Like behind you have all these things that some people call books, I think. Is that what those are? They're books?
No, those are all iPad covers. They're just iPads.
But I used to have a collect. Remember like Columbia Records? Like they used to have these like subscription plans where you'd pay a penny for like 12 CDs and then you'd have to buy like 8 more over 2 years. And everyone got in debt for that.
But you never did.
No one did. Everyone saw their credit scores drop because of that. But and you had all these collections that became completely irrelevant after a short while.
Yeah.
Columbia Records.
You are right. We have been phased out of so much technology that I've dumped an awful lot of money into things that turned out to be like, oh, don't need that anymore.
I had collections of so many things that are just I don't know if I still have them. I think they're boxes somewhere, but it's crazy.
And by the way, and everything that I ever had throughout my entire life, like when I buy it, I'm using it. Like I don't get like, oh, so you bought it and you took great care of it and now you can resell it. No, I break my shit at some point. So I ride the wheels off the shit that I buy.
Yeah, we grew up analog, baby, and everything is now digital.
Oh, speaking of riding the wheels off, not to zoom you out here for a second, but
let's go. We're done.
I need to change that. I need to go. The Ike's cardboard cutout.
Oh.
Did not survive last night.
Why? What happened?
Both boys were sitting in this chair right now, and they're like spinning each other around, and they fell backwards in the chair. Luckily, neither of the boys cut their freaking heads open on anything behind me here, but they kneecapped the Ike cardboard cutout. So, Ike, if you're watching, you got to send me another cardboard cutout because you got kneecapped last night like the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's why, people are going to be like, where did the thing go? Was there trouble in paradise? No. Ike got kneecapped by a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old wrestling on a chair.
You got to put some hooks on his head and then hang him from the ceiling to keep him going.
Oh, look like we're hanging him in effigy? That would be
exactly.
great. Well, let me show you my sponsor, everybody.
Exactly.
Angling behind me.
Love it.
Thank you very much, Cyrus. Always good to see you, brother. Thanks to everybody for watching. We really appreciate you being here today. Make sure that you have liked and subscribed to both of these channels. If you would, please do it over on Golden Days. Do it over here on the Plus. And we will see you again as the week goes along for sure. Come on back at 11, working on some other guests and some look at it this way. There are some arrows that I'm firing, and I hopefully will have a few big guests to report to you soon enough.
Well, and you're joining game 2 post game. Is that a possibility?
And yeah, I will absolutely confirm. I mean, do you have look at it this way? If I can tell you early enough, do I get included in a special open?
Well, we don't,
is the graphic package done?
I don't. Well, Larry and I are alternating in terms of who takes the lead for the show. So I think Larry is taking the lead for tomorrow.
Who's driving? Is Larry driving tomorrow? Okay,
Larry is driving tomorrow, so he's your guy. And Golden Days will be streaming as well, and maybe it's a threesome of the kind that you don't want to participate in unless you're observing strictly.
It's a good thing it's on YouTube and not OnlyFans. You wouldn't want to see that.
There you go.
There it is. Thank you very much. Final way. Do I got all the supers in? Yeah, again, just because you didn't end the show, enjoy this. We got you.
Awesome. Thank you.
To everyone who sent along a super today. Like and subscribe. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, they're gone.